Okay.
Good afternoon, Miss Tiffany. I'm glad to see you again, and we're getting together again to have another wonderful conversation.
Yes, we are. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm grateful that the temperature has gone down and that we're able to actually put on a jacket without sweating.
Right. That's so important for us these days.
Yes, because we need to look cute with our jackets on, so without sweat tissue sticking to our faces and whatnot.
Although
Anyway,
I would say today I was a little apprehensive about putting on a jacket because I didn't know, I was like, okay, should I put on a jacket? Should I just, but
anyway, you look cute,
let's
so
here
you're
we
you're
are.
good. You're good. But I thought we explore a topic. I know it's not related to business, but relationship business is about relationships. And
So,
a lot of what we women entrepreneurs go through with focusing on our businesses, a lot of times, we also think about having, cultivating our personal relationships as well. And for single women, that includes maybe dating. And so I remember off camera, I had asked you a question about do you date? And so so let me ask you on camera. So, are you how has the dating scene been for you? I would say in the last few years.
oh, it's been very interesting. You know, let me just say this and let me give you a little history and background. I'm just used to dating a certain type of man. And I guess that's before my pre-career now, where I had more
Mhm.
time. And I just love dating men that really understand how to treat women. And what I mean
What do
by
you mean by
that
that?
is just making sure that if we're on a date, we have to meet at the location and drive separately, that there's a phone call, to see that I got home all right, or I call him or he calls me, or just like little simple things. And I guess that's chivalry, and they say it's not dead, but I'm not sure. I shouldn't say
So,
it's dead, but go
no,
ahead.
no, no. So what do you think, why do you think the culture is so different now than back, what? We're looking at what, 30 years ago?
I think,
When,
yeah. You're 30
Mhm.
years ago when things were different.
Okay.
Is that what you're gonna
I
ask?
mean, why do you think, where do you think the culture changed? Why, back in the day, men felt a sense of I don't want to say maybe chivalry or duty to act like a man, open the doors for women, call them to make sure that they got home safe. Uh, it's just, we had talked about it about the dating scene being quite different from back in the day. But when we say back in the day, what does that mean? How many years ago would
Oh
you
my
say?
goodness. That will totally date us. We admit how long that was when we first
Who
started dating.
cares? They can't guess our age anyway.
I know. But I'll just say it's been quite some time, but I've been, in the mix here just as recently as a few months ago. But I will
Okay.
say this, I think that the culture is that, in the 50s, people were definitely thinking differently.
Okay.
So, you had the men really taking care of the women because the women stayed home, right? So there was,
Right.
you understood how to treat a woman or how to take care of her because she was at home, right? So it would there wasn't a uh she was working and he was working. And I think that when men and women begin to work separately, and there's not just one breadwinner, it is now considered like equal contribution. Like, I think the expectation for most men is like, okay, well, you need to bring in equally as I do. And I
Well,
think
go ahead.
I really do believe that. And then I think people are getting, it's just different. It's just and then I think, in this culture today, I find that most women want to cater to men. And it's like there is a beauty in dating. And if you read, all those books out there, and I think one is called, well, this was some years ago. I forgot what the name of it was called, but I think it was Skinny B. And she she was expressing how your attitude should be towards men. And, for all that she said, there is some truth to be, there's truth in that. And, it's like you want to be nice, but you can't be too nice because you don't want them to uh
Misinterpret your nice, your kindness.
right. And they misinterpret that for being needy. Like a career woman, a boss lady, as they call it, is not a needy person, first of all.
Right,
Like, let's get
right.
that straight. So you're career driven, you're career oriented, you're making your own money, you're whole in and of yourself because you really don't need anybody for that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're a woman who is independent and who has her own. So there's no need for a man to fill that void. Yet yet most of these men out there believe that if you're going to work and contribute, because there must be a 50% contribution in the household.
You mean as far as financial contribution? You
Mhm.
pay half the bills, I pay half the bills.
Right. And it's even in the dating the process. It's like, first of all, you meet for coffee because that's a cheap date. Let's get it, cheap. Coffee is what, $5, under $5, so it's not going to be
Okay.
that expensive. And then, they want you to, when you do actually go out on dates, they want you to contribute to half the bill. As a matter of fact, let me tell you, I'll tell you how I know this, because one of my friends, he has a 20-something-year-old girl, and his daughter, excuse me, just had this experience. Now, see, I wouldn't have dealt with this, but this is what happened.
Okay.
So she found him online, went to a museum,
To meet him there?
to meet him at the museum. He did not come and pick her up, to meet him at the museum. And then she had to pay his admission.
What?
Yes. And then I think the meal she had to pay for. And you know what he told her at the beginning? Said, oh, something that he left his credit card or some excuse. Okay. And so, but the only thing he was able to monetarily contribute to the date was the purchase of a bottle of water. Like, no, you don't call me.
Go home. Reschedule. Go
There's no
home.
rescheduling after that. I'm not rescheduling. I personally am not rescheduling. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
first of all, so it wasn't a cold date. She knew this person,
No,
or
she didn't. It was an
she met him.
online date. This was an
Well,
online date.
okay, but would you want somebody you met online to pick you up from your house?
See, that's okay. See, that's a different culture. And me coming from I meet people through other people because I have to have a reference point. I
But that's
just can't.
different. That's a reference, right? Oh, but
Right.
you're saying
But
from
online, you have to kind of meet at a place separately. You come together to meet at a place online because you do not want that to happen. You want to meet in a public place.
in a public place. So, let me share an experience I had. I met this nice gentleman on Bumble, and and we decided to meet for coffee. I was coming from a doctor's appointment, which was a little bit strange, and so so by the time, and he was coming from, like an hour, I think it took him an hour and a half to get there, but he had scheduled to meet some friends out in this area. So originally we were supposed to meet at 5, and I think we ended up meeting closer to 5:30. And so we really only had like an hour and less than an hour and a half to meet. And I was a little bit, I just thought, wow, he drives out. I mean, I know he wanted to visit with some friends, but anyway, so he texted me and said he had a good time, that that maybe we will have more time next time. And so, I've been out of the dating scene for many years. I was married for 35 years, been single for 5 years. So I don't know how to play this game. I really don't. And so, so that's why I call you and figure
Right,
this out.
me, who's like probably with the same mindset that you had prior to marriage, right?
Right. That's okay. Great, the great minds think alike. So, so I guess we're someone from my generation that, I kept wondering. So that was a Thursday. So then we briefly spoke on a Friday. And then I think that Saturday morning, yesterday, spoke briefly, and I sent him a text, but I didn't hear anything from him. So my interpretation of that was, well, because people nowadays, they quit their job by phone, they break up with people by phone. I don't know how to interpret this generation's way of communicating because it's not very personable. And so I thought, well, maybe that's his way of
Well,
saying,
see, yeah, see, that's why I think the texting thing is just, it's too much for me. So I like personal conversation. I like
I
to
do
hear
too.
your voice. I
I do
like
too.
you know what I'm saying? If I'm going to have a conversation, I don't want it over text because text can be misinterpreted. Someone can write something and then you interpret it one way, but it was meant
Right.
another
Based
way.
on whatever's going on in your head, all the dialogue in your head. But my point was is that um so anyway, so I finally didn't hear anything all day, and so I texted this morning, good morning. And then he started texting, and we were having a conversation through text. Now, I don't particularly care for conversation through text. I'm like, do you mind if I call you? If we're gonna have a texting conversation, you might as well pick up the phone. So picked it up, and basically he was saying, well, we're in this stage of friendship, which I agree, that's what I want. And we're not in the dating stage. But I guess my question was, there are friends. I have female friends that I don't pick up the phone and talk to them daily, but if we, have something to talk about, we do that. With guy friends or men that you are trying to develop a friendship with, and perhaps potentially be even somebody you want to date, I just thought that, like, how are you supposed to get to know them if I can treat you like a friend? Oh yeah, I'll call you every 2 weeks. Did
Well,
you won't?
see, here's the thing. Here's the thing. And I mean, I have mentored young women and they have gotten married because they came out of a relationship, it wasn't working because the person wasn't respecting them. So we changed and flipped the script and now they're married. But the thing of it is that you need to set boundaries up front.
Right,
Okay. So you can't be the one that like wants to communicate, although we women love communication. That's our strong suit, right? Is
right,
communication.
right,
So we
right.
want to do
Yeah.
communication. Just understand that communication may or may not come. However, if it does, understand that it may not come the way you want it. It's going to come through text.
Which is fine. I guess where my question was, or my curiosity is with this generation of dating is, to me, there's friends. And if you're looking to
Right,
get to
right.
know someone, you would expect a little bit more effort in communication. But I tell you one thing, I do not chase.
Well,
So
that's what I was trying to get, but say that diplomatically, because at the end of the day, some men want you to chase them. I'm not a chaser. I'm not a
no,
chaser
I don't chase. You
whatsoever.
know what? You will be staring at the phone till Jesus comes before I pick up the next phone call. I've done my duty.
No, I
I don't.
understand that. But here, and I always talk about self-value. When you value yourself, you understand your worth, right? So if the person that you're meeting or you're connecting with should get to know you and understand your value to treat you the way that you want to be treated. But I will say for go in the dating scene, what you need to do is set your boundaries first, okay? Because if you don't set the boundaries, then they do whatever they want to do, just as he's doing whatever he's wanting to do. So
Well,
you
I mean,
have
it's only we just met, so
no, I understand that, but you have to do it right today, like now, because
well,
if
that's why I'm not picking up the phone.
right, because if you don't, you'll have more trouble.
Oh, I know,
You know what
I
I'm
know.
saying? So I'm not a chaser either. I communicate with you when I want to communicate with you. I pick up the phone when I want to. When I'm very hospitable when you come over, all that. But I'm not going to be calling you 50 times a day. Some people like drama. Lots of people
Like
love
drama.
drama. I'm
Mhm.
not a drama fiend. I do not like
I'm
drama.
not either. I'm not either. I
So,
do. I do believe that to get to know a person, you've got to spend time with that person. And if you can't do it in, you know, if you're not in close proximity, then you need to make the, if you're going to have what I mean by long distance relationship, if I have to drive more than 30 miles, you long distance. So
That's true.
especially on California freeways.
Right.
Because
No,
that's 30
I
miles plus
totally,
add on.
I get what you're saying, and that's so true.
So
Yeah.
well, I mean, it takes an effort to, even with short distances to have to make the drive. And so this has been a good experience for me. But you're right. I have to decide what it is that I want. I may even put the dating on hold, to be honest. I just realized it takes time to get to know people. It
Well,
takes,
yeah.
uh,
It does take time to get to know people, but this is also what I will say, and this is what I'm dealing with myself, is the balancing between my career and a relationship, and both have to come together. But it takes the right combination. And
right.
sometimes, it might take you some time to finally meet that person. But then again, a lot of people are going through the release of dramatic relationships. Like, you might date somebody, they may have just come out of a bad relationship, and so now you're having to deal with that
Oh,
baggage.
no rebound either. No rebound.
No, I'm just saying, this is
No,
a
no, no.
lot
I'm
of what's
saying, I know, I
happening.
get it. I get it.
This
No,
is a lot of what's happening. People are coming out of these relationships, these bad relationships, where they don't want them anymore, and they're looking for someone
they're
to,
hopping on to the next one.
well, yes and no, but I'm just saying, this is the culture that we're dealing with. We're not dealing with people who have made like conscious decisions to remain independent for a while before they get into a relationship. You're dealing with people who have had, many or a relationship, and they're just now getting out of it. And it's a dramatic experience, and they're just like, they haven't healed. So, it's that those are the situations. And I can say that because I have, studied this a little bit. But yeah, so you're going to get people that have been in these relationships that did not suit them, did not serve them. They're looking for something better. So you got to deal with that and look for that, because that isn't, that's, it's quite clear that that's part of it. But most importantly, what I will say, and as I've had to do, is to set boundaries in the beginning. Once you stage what you want and set those boundaries, then you can move from there. And then,
Okay, so Miss Tiffany, so give me an example. How does that look? How does the
okay,
setting the boundaries look when you on a
for
first date?
example, through my experience, I had to learn this. And I was the kind of person, I'm very direct. If I want to talk to you, like I said, I'll talk to you. I'll do what I want to do, right? If I want
Mhm.
to go to the beach and you call me at 11 p.m. and want to go to the beach, I might want to go to the beach and look at the moon. But when you're like that, and you're uh, like, oh, ready, to experience all these nice activities, then it could be
Mhm.
misleading. So when they call, oh yeah, it's exciting to go on to the beach, or it's exciting to go to dinner because that's what you want to do at that time.
Mhm.
But then when you're so spontaneous, and they expect you to be there, and they expect you to answer the phone when they
You're
call,
too available. You make yourself too
there you
available
go.
too
And that,
soon.
right. And it wasn't me trying to, it was just me just responding on how I felt at the moment. Not
Right.
because I was like, I don't play any games, but then I had to halt it and then put boundaries there, because now I was becoming something that I didn't want to be. Like, now, if I wasn't first, I was second. And it seemed like
Oh,
the second, the second person, or whatever. And I don't, that's just not, I value myself much more than to be second to
somebody
anyone.
second. No, I hear
So,
you.
but I will say, I will encourage you, because I didn't do it in the beginning, to set those boundaries and set them in the beginning. Because once you do that, that sets the stage of how the relationship is going to play out. And then but you know what? Men have to work and earn it, and they should, and they do
I
enjoy that.
agree.
They do enjoy it, but you must make them, if you don't, then you won't get the results. You have to make it so for them to do that.
Well, and when it's funny, when you don't allow a man to pursue you, I, I think you end up being in a relationship where you're taken for granted. Um, I came out of a marriage where that's what I experienced. That I didn't feel like there was but we were young, we were very young. So I definitely want to make sure that um, no man thinks that he can get to me so easily. I'm not put it like that.
Yeah, I
But
know, right. But that's you setting your boundaries and having
mhm,
self-value and understanding who you are. And if you don't understand it, then you'll be like, oh, well, this is so exciting. He texts me and he wants me to go. Yes, I fell victim to that for a short while. And then when I understood it, because I wasn't coming from like, I'm
hmm.
all in love and giddy over here. No, it's like,
Do you think that individual interpret your always being available
yes,
as for
yes.
more than something than he misinterpreted?
He misinterpreted, and then it began to be like he would call me and say, come on, let's go have dinner on the water. I'm coming to pick you up now. And I'm like, what? I like, sometimes when I, you know during the day, I'm at home, so I'm not at my office, right? I'm not at my office, I'm at home. So if I'm home, I typically am not dressed to go anywhere. I'm in lounging clothes.
Right, right, right.
So it's going to take me a little time to get there. But the fact that he thought he could call and just be like, oh, I'm coming to get you in 15 minutes was like, really? Okay, I understand. I accept the invitation to go to dinner by the water, on the water, but I have to prepare for this. And so I would have
How
to
did
do
he
that.
handle it? How did he handle it?
And then he would say, okay, I'll come and pick you up in an hour. And then that would be fine. But then it just became regular. It was a regular thing. Like whenever he decided to call, he was like, whenever he decided, whenever he wanted to, he made the call. And then I was just supposed to accept the invitation. And I told him that, I just don't work like that. I said, I enjoy being with you, which I did. And I'm a very, I don't want to say free spirited because that's kind of like the wrong word to use. But I know what I want. And when I want to do something, I just do it because I feel like doing it. It has nothing to do with the other person. And
Right.
but I guess he misunderstood and misinterpreted what I was doing and saying. Every time he called, he's like, oh, okay. And then I would say yes, because obviously if I've been home all day, I would want to go out, right?
Right, right.
So, it didn't. And then we were both workaholics. We were both, you know, he had other things and issues and that he had to deal with and on top of his business. And then I was doing my thing and still doing my thing as I am today. And it just became harder. And then once you get so focused on your work, then you don't make time to do the stuff that you would
Yeah,
like to
that
do something else.
right. That was a discussion I had too. But I know it comes down to priority. So, but relationships take work, and I
They
guess
do.
you have to examine what stage you are in your life, and what are your priorities, what you're willing to commit time to. And I guess I started asking myself that. I'm building two different businesses, still, creating the life that I want. But I think there's room for someone. It's just that it has to be the right someone. So,
I agree. I agree.
yeah.
That's what I'm doing. And that's why I'm balancing everything. And I believe in balance in all things. And I believe this is the time that I should have that I should have somebody because it's great. It's great because when you're happy, you create more, you produce more,
Right, right.
and it doesn't have to be stressful, like sometimes I'll put it out in the universe. I want 10 different people because I want to date, if I want to go to dinner, I'll go to dinner with that person. If I want to go to the opera, I'll go there that person. If I want, if
Can't get it
I
in one package. Look,
no,
break
I
it into
can't. Yeah,
10. Is
Like, because that's all you want to do anyway, right? They're not going to call you, and you know they're not going to call you for
Right.
anything else. But I've had some very, very interesting dating experiences. But what I will say is that boundary setting, and I can't emphasize that enough, is very, very important in the beginning. But it has to come
Oh,
from the woman, not the man, the woman.
right, 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 right. Well, this has been quite an interesting conversation. It's a lot different from what we've talked about in the past, but it's always good to bring in talk about um, areas of life that affect us as women, as entrepreneurs, as business owners. And I'm sure some men may get a kick out of the conversation as well. So
And you know
they
what?
can add. Uh-huh.
I've actually had this conversation with a male, and it was very interesting because they asked very different questions. And one of them was like, "Are you the type of woman to be at home and waiting for your man to come home, if you will?" And I'm like, "No,
Uh,
because I'm not going to cook. I may not even be, and, I might be traveling, so I may not even be in town." And you have to be independent, self-sufficient, all those things to be with me. And so I said, but I am a very, when you're with me, I'm with you. I will give you 100% and then some.
mhm.
But no, I'm not that traditional thinking. No, I'm not going to have the martini ready at the door. It's not happening.
So how do you handle that?
How do I
How
handle
did he handle that? That
because they knew me, they were laughing a little bit because they knew that I was gonna probably say something like that. But then they asked me like what type of guy would I like to date? And I said, I thought these questions were just general questions. I didn't know that I was being interviewed for like
right,
maybe
right, right. How
a
funny.
dating app or something.
We
But
should bring a gentleman on board and pick his brain and see what the opposite sex mindset is when it
oh
comes to
my goodness,
dating. It'll
yes,
be quite interesting.
it's important, a balance in everything. Even if you're a career woman, you must
I,
have balance.
I so agree. I so agree. Well, you know what? Next time we will be back on topic with our business discussion. Last week we had discussed what did we discuss? I think we were going to talk about business culture, corporate culture, and how that affects the workforce as well as entrepreneurship and what that brings to the table. So I look forward to meeting with you again, and
I do
we will.
too.
All right. Well, thank you, and you have a good evening.
You too.
Bye bye.